Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
The presidents of South Korea and China met for the third time since June on the sidelines of the APEC summit, and the Chinese leader said he is against North Korea's nuclear program or additional nuke tests.
More investigation is likely on its way for the cash-strapped Tongyang Group. More coming up in the headlines.
All eyes are on Typhoon Danis and the wet weather it will bring here in Korea. More to come on In Print.
And V-World, it's Korea's three-dimensional map using homegrown technology that boasts crisp images with some of the most detailed looks at the peninsula and its sights. And Latin Grammy Award-winning band Reik is here in Korea for a collaborative reality program with Arirang TV and Mexico's Televisa. The platinum-selling artist joins us on Korea Today on Tuesday, October 8, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good morning. You're watching Korea Today on a Tuesday morning, or I should say a rainy Tuesday morning. The year's 24th typhoon is fast approaching the Korean peninsula. It's expected to make a landfall tonight.
That's right. This is the first October typhoon in 15 years. Typhoon Danis is well on its path to skimming right under the southern tip of the peninsula and through Jeju Island. Now, Jeju Island, as well as the southern tip, is expected to receive up to 200 millimeters of rain and up to 30 millimeters of rain per hour, and that is a lot of rain.
That is a lot of rain.
And this typhoon packs quite a punch as well because it will be bringing along with it winds of up to 30 meters per second.
We're going to have a more detailed weather report coming your way later on Korea Today, but first we'll turn to Na Hyung-kyung for a look at the day's headlines.
The two main rival parties are gearing up for the October 30th by-election, which will fill two vacant seats at the National Assembly. Now, on Monday, political heavyweight and former main opposition Democratic Party chairman Son Hak-kyu turned down the DP's offer to run, saying it's too soon to come back to the political scene as he needs more time to repent for last year's defeat in the presidential election. And with Son's decision, the anticipated match between political big shots in Gyeonggi Province's Hwasong-A constituency will not happen. The ruling Saenuri Party had already nominated six-term lawmaker Seo Chung-won, and going up against him from the DP will be Oh Lee-ryong, chief of the opposition party's committee for the constituency. The other battlefield is an area in Pohang, North Gyeongsang Province, a traditional ruling party stronghold. The DP has chosen the chief of the region's office, Heo Dae-man, to run against former Minister of Public Administration Bang Myung-jae from the ruling party. Starting in 2016, the maximum working hours per week here in Korea could be reduced to 52 from the current 68. The ruling Saenuri Party and the Labor Ministry agreed to push for revising a bill that would prevent employees from working more than 12 hours in overtime, and that includes the weekends. Currently, workers can punch in for 28 hours on top of their 40 working hours per week, but business owners are less than impressed with this plan. Now, the Korea Employers Federation says if this revision takes place, it will drop productivity growth and make it difficult for them to create more jobs. And the Korea Federation of Small and Medium Business also says the government's new plan could cause many of the nation's SMEs to close down. In the midst of growing concerns over the liquidity-strapped Tongyang Group, the country's financial watchdog says the firm made some illicit money transactions between its affiliates.
We found that the firm's major shareholders have violated financial regulations, so we're planning on asking the prosecution to launch a probe soon. From now on, whenever more illegal activities are found, we will continue to ask for official investigations.
The agency specifically targeted Tongyang Group chairman Hyun Jae-hyun, saying he sold his firm's commercial papers to investors even when he knew about the group's default risks. Now, Tongyang Group, the nation's 38th largest conglomerate with nearly 60 years of history, has filed court receivership for 5 of its 30 affiliates last month after failing to pay its matured bonds worth some 110 billion won, or roughly $100 million. Now on Monday, the first day of the two-day APEC summit currently taking place in Bali, Indonesia, President Park Geun-hye held a few bilateral summit talks on the sidelines of the meeting. And for more, we have our presidential office correspondent Oh Jin-ju standing by on the line for us. So Jin-ju, the most notable sideline meeting, of course, was the one with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Could you fill us in on the latest, please?
Well, President Park has asked China to persuade North Korea to abandon its nuclear weapons program and focus on economic development. During a bilateral summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping ahead of the official opening of the APEC summit on Monday, President Park stressed that Pyongyang should not put everything it has into nuclear development when so many North Koreans are suffering from chronic malnutrition. She also expressed regret over North Korea's sudden postponement of a plan to reunite families separated by the Korean War and emphasized the importance of close cooperation between Seoul and Beijing. In the third bilateral summit between Presidents Park and Xi, the Chinese leader took a stronger stance on the North Korean nuclear issue. President Xi reportedly said that China opposes North Korea's possession of nuclear weapons outright and will take a firm stand against future nuclear tests. A high-ranking Korean official told reporters that the Chinese president also pledged to follow through on UN Security Council resolutions against Pyongyang. And President Park had earlier expressed appreciation to Beijing for announcing last month that it was banning a long list of equipment and chemical substances from export to North Korea.
And that will certainly put more pressure on Pyongyang, and we will have to keep our eyes on that. Now, President Park Geun-hye also held some bilateral talks with the leaders of Canada, Mexico, and Peru, and it looks like she is really pushing forward with her so-called sales diplomacy.
Yeah, she sure is. In addition to her bilateral summit with China, President Park held talks with the leaders of Canada, Mexico, and Peru. In her talks with Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, the two sides agreed to work towards signing a Korea-Canada free trade agreement by the end of this year. She also met with leaders of Latin American countries for the first time since taking office, Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto and Peruvian President Ollanta Humala, and discussed ways to expand their economic cooperation. President Park called on these two governments to support Korean companies seeking participation in major infrastructure projects in these countries in sectors such as construction and resources and energy. Now, whether President Park will hold bilateral talks with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is also always a point of interest in these multilateral gatherings. They didn't meet at last month's G20 summit in Russia, and they didn't meet separately this time around either. The two did sit side by side during the first session of the APEC summit. However, observers have called their meeting, quote, awkward and frigid. They're known to have shaken hands, but didn't exchange any words with one another.
So a bit of a cold front there between Seoul and Tokyo, it seems like. And many will want to know when the two leaders will eventually sit down for a one-on-one. Now, let's move on. President Park made a speech at the first session of the APEC summit. So she really put a great emphasis on creating a free trade environment in the region.
Yes, President Park called on APEC member countries to push ahead with strengthening the free trading system in the world economy, emphasizing that trade liberalization is the most cost-effective way for economic revitalization, job creation, and welfare enhancement. She also put emphasis on the World Trade Organization's role in a multilateral trading system and said that the international agency should be in charge of boosting trade liberalization and strengthening trade regulations on a global scale, especially to counter the current spread of regionalism. Trade protectionism was another thing that President Park warned APEC nations to stay away from. She said that although countries can easily be tempted to stick to trade protectionism when the economy gets bad, the economic recovery will eventually grow even more slowly if they pursue this strategy.
All right, thank you, Jinju. You have another big day coming up, so I'll let you go for now. That was our presidential office correspondent, Jinju, reporting live from Bali for us. And those are the headlines, stories making headlines at this hour. Next up is In Print with Eunice Kim.
And good morning, everyone. By and large, the top story on the newspapers this morning is Chinese leader Xi Jinping's stronger words on North Korea, as you just heard during the headlines earlier with Na Hyun-kyung and reporter Junju. Now, we'll go ahead and take a look at the headline on 조선일보. It reads, Xi Jinping says China resolutely opposed to additional nuclear tests by North Korea. And the article goes on to say that Xi reiterated his country's commitment to strictly abide by the UN Council resolutions proposing that the six-party talks be resumed, since the North Korean nuclear problem is not one that can be solved through military means. The article also says that the two leaders agreed that their countries' first-stage negotiations on a future free trade agreement concluded successfully and looked forward to the next process. Relatedly, you might have noticed the front page image. It's a popular juxtaposition on the papers this morning. We also see it on our next paper, so let's go ahead and scoot on over to Tonga for a closer look at it. Tongyang has this front page image with the title, Relations Between Korea and China Amicable, Korea and Japan chilly. The picture requires no additional explanation, I think, except maybe that President Park, pictured here with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, was seated next to her Japanese counterpart at an APEC meeting yesterday. The two are reported to have only exchanged a short and polite handshake, but not much else. All right, scooting right over to Gyeongyang Shinmun now. It also has a very similar headline as our first paper, noting there that Chinese President Xi Jinping did commit once again to oppose more nuclear tests from North Korea. The biggest local news item that folks are probably watching very closely this morning, though, is the weather, as Typhoon Danas is headed northbound and expected to influence especially the southern and southeastern parts of the country. The headline reads, Unseasonal October Typhoon today, heavy rain and wind warning on the south coast. And the insert maps out the trajectory of that typhoon. Last night, Danas was moving at a fast pace of 37 kilometers per hour near Japan's Okinawa, with a maximum wind speed of 48 meters per second and a strong wind radius of 400 kilometers. That makes Danas a medium-sized typhoon, and it's anticipated to release as much as 200 millimeters of rain in the south and eastern regions, according to the paper. That's including South Gyeongsang Province, the mountainous regions of Jeju Island, as well as Ulleung Island and the Dokdo Islets between today and tomorrow afternoon. The Weather Authority is advising that those in the affected regions prepare, especially for landslides and crop damage, as the storm is expected to bring localized downpours of more than 30 millimeters per hour. All right, and over in the business sector, the sinking prospects of major conglomerate Tongyang Group continue to be big news. Major business newspaper's headline reads, Owner who made investors cry faces judgment in the end. That is, assumably, judgment by investigation, as the Financial Supervisory Service has announced its intention to request a prosecutorial probe, specifically into the owner family's involvement in the suspected illegal trading of those commercial papers that now very well could be worthless. Now, among those in the hot seat is Tongyang Group's chairman himself, Hyun Jae-hyun, and the article says the case that first appeared would end as a case of simple bad business now looks to turn into a case of illegal trading driven by the angry investors themselves, some 50,000 who now stand to lose after some better placed Tongyang affiliates such as Tongyang Network and Tongyang Cement also filed for court receivership in the end. The paper says a group of investors plans to stage a rally outside the offices of the financial regulator to protest what they see was its careless supervision and too casual handling of this case. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Tuesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Monday's market action.
Time now to get a check on the weather with our Ida-mi, who is joining us from Yangcheon-gu, Seoul. I'm sure she has an update on the typhoon that's approaching us.
All right, we'll get a visual image of what it's like where she's at. Tommy, good morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Yangcheon-gu, Seoul. Now, currently, Typhoon Danas is making its way towards Korea at a quick pace. It looks like down in Jeju Island, also north and south Gyeongsang Province and South Jeolla provinces will be directly under the influence of the typhoon, receiving torrential downpour at more than 150 millimeters of rain, along with gusty winds at about 162 kilometers later around the peak time, which is expected to be about 3 p.m. Now, currently, also Jeju Island and the southern coast are under typhoon advisories. Here in the central regions, including Seoul, we aren't receiving that much rain currently, but it is expected to get a bit thicker as the day progresses, and then conditions are expected to clear out later in the evening. Now, when heading outdoors, make sure to carry your umbrellas, but for those of you that are in the southern areas that are being directly under the influence of the typhoon, you may want to gear yourselves up a little bit more, maybe with a raincoat and rain boots, because an umbrella is not going to keep you dry from the gusty winds and the heavy rainfall. All right, well, that's it. Let's go ahead and get a check at the weather around Korea. Seoul will start out at 18 and highs won't be far off at 21. Daejeon and Daegu at 22. Gangneung with highs at 19. Busan, Gwangju, and Jeju at 25 degrees. Today the rain's going to hit us pretty hard, so make sure to gear up and be prepared in any case for future damages such as floods and landslides. Also, for those of you down south, you may want to cover your window panes with duct tape, which will help you from the gusty winds. That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in a few moments.
And thank you very much, Tommy, for the weather updates. It looks like today is a day that we're just going to have to stay indoors, right? Best way to go. And now we're going to be talking about temple food. A lot of people are looking for that well-being food, and also the healing trend is very much in. People want to get away from that norm of eating preservatives as well as fatty foods, so they're turning to temple foods.
That's right. And over the weekend, a large-scale event was held in Tongyang Temple in Suwon, Gyeonggi Province, which invited temple foods from 7 different countries, and we'll take you to the World Temple Food Festival 2013 right now.
On the foot of Gwangyo Mountain in Suwon, Gyeonggi Province, sits Tongyang Temple. Known as a place for educating monks, it was built during the 13th century of the Goryeo dynasty. Last weekend, however, the normally serene and calm temple was bustling with large crowds of people coming together.
We came out here for a trip with the family because we heard there was a temple food festival.
Since it's a global temple food festival, we came to see different temple food dishes from other countries.
With the growing interest in temple cuisine, the World Temple Food Grand Festival 2013 is underway, and visitors can try out the food firsthand. The event began in 2009 under the slogan Nature's Taste, a sharing soul, and is now in its 5th year.
Temple food does not include any meat or fish. It is also a healthy cuisine that doesn't have any spicy ingredients, such as green onion, garlic, chives, wild chives, and onions. We are holding this festival so that we can spread word about this healthy cuisine.
And this year marks the first time temple foods from other countries, such as Japan, Taiwan, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Vietnam, and China were also introduced. The event has transformed from a local event, merging into a global Buddhist festival. It is an opportunity to learn the temple food culture of other countries and understand how each incorporate religious precepts into their cuisine.
Because Tibet is a high altitude area, we did not have very much to eat from the old days. That's why the Buddhist monks usually ate something simple, such as barley flour or butter tea, and spent the rest of the time in ascetic practice. But coming here, it's surprising to see all these different types of dishes, and it's good that people can take part in Buddhist activities through food like this.
It's wonderful that many monks can come together and exchange their dishes, and I'd like to invite Korean temple food experts to China.
The lively atmosphere subsides, and Buddhist monks from 7 different countries, including Japan, China, Vietnam, Myanmar, along with Pongyeong Temple's monks, circle the temple grounds, carrying alms bowls in order to conduct takbal. Takbal is a form of asceticism to adhere to the philosophy of non-possession. The rule is to ask for food at only 7 homes a day, whether they be poor or rich homes. The temple food at the event is put on display in one area of the venue. One of the basic rules of Korean temple food is to abstain from consuming meat, adhering to the principle which prohibits the killing of living things. It also bans 5 strongly flavored ingredients, such as green onions and garlic, called o shinche, which are believed to disturb the practice of asceticism. This year, many new temple food dishes from other countries, as well as those using creative methods of modern-day cooking, have been introduced. Around Pongyeong Temple, other activities have been set up so the public can get one step closer to the cuisine and the Buddhist culture.
Regardless of your religion, I think it's a great place to come to with your family and have fun.
This is the first time I've made a lotus flower cup lantern. It's hard to make it look pretty, but it's a fun experience.
And at the conclusion of the festival, various performances take place, bringing together the participating monks and visitors and guests from various countries together. And with this, the 2-day festival comes to an end.
In the future, we hope that we become a more bridge between the Korean Buddhist community to the international community in Korea. And we hope to attract more foreign and international people to Korean monastery. So in the future, hope we can make it even more bigger and more attractive festival.
The World Temple Food Festival has moved beyond a localized Buddhist event and is now taking steps towards becoming a more global celebration.
With fall foliage changing into rich gold and red colors, more and more hikers are on the trails enjoying the scenery. But where there comes more accidents, we take a look at how to prevent small to life-threatening injuries while hiking.
Today is not a good day to go hiking anyway.
No.
But,
You're gonna
okay.
slip on your way down.
Right. Well, last week on the show, we briefly introduced a new 3D map called V-World, developed by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. It's a remarkable map. It's getting some great reviews by many users, especially for its detailed depiction of landscape and streets.
That's right. The V in V-World, it stands for visual as well as virtual. It shows 3D images, very detailed images of buildings, and you can even see people walking around, but images of them. And it's been compared to Google a lot because Google obviously came out with the first version of a 3D map. But we have more on V-World and how much more detailed it is.
The response to Korea's 3D detailed map, The World, created by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, has been immense so far. It ranked number 1 on search engines in the country and brought in 400,000 simultaneous users to the website at one point. So how was this realistic 3D map made possible?
Using aerial photos as the foundation, we built three-dimensional buildings taking into consideration the topography of the area in question.
Using homegrown satellite technology, The World adds laser measurements and aerial photos to the satellite map and built a 3D spatial map for major cities across the world. This is a view of Seoul's Jamsil area seen through the detailed 3D view of The World. It offers a thorough view of the curvature of the amusement park Lotte World. The view of King Sejong Station in the Antarctic offered by The World and images of Pyongyang also stand out from other existing services. The beautiful scenes of Kumgang Mountain in the north can also be enjoyed from the comfort of your own home.
Because we provided 22 types of national spatial information, you can check various kinds of data.
Not only that, you can also look up various data such as zoning districts, real estate information, and land registration maps, which allows for a variety of uses. Noticeable is the underground 3D service, previously unavailable on existing GPS systems. You can see the underground areas of subway line number 1 at City Hall Station, which looks almost identical. As of now, the map service is only available online. But by the end of this year, a mobile service of The World will also be launched, becoming available for use at any time and anywhere.
In the case of the web service, there is a drawback that you have to install a plugin, but for the mobile service, you can directly access the service.
The map allows people to easily access detailed spatial information and can be utilized in various fields such as in education, broadcast, gaming, and the movie industry.
I think The World will be used very effectively by providing location information, and it can be used in commercial data analysis as well as be used for national big data analysis.
There are high expectations for Korea's 3D map The World, created using homegrown IT and satellite technology. And many are waiting to see whether the service will be able to transform into a global platform for all.
And joining us this morning is an expert who made all of this possible, Senior Research Fellow Mr. Park Do-yeol from the Spatial Information Industry Promotion Institute. Thank you for joining us this morning.
We have a lot of questions.
All right, quite a remarkable job you've done, so congratulations, first of all. Now, how much of the world is covered so far by The World?
It provides services for the entire peninsula and the world now. And by the end of this year, it will provide services for the, especially 3D building models for Seoul, 6 major cities, and 29 other cities, as well as Sorang Mountain and Ulleung Island and Dokdo areas.
Also North Korea, right? You're going to expand some images from North Korea, I believe.
Yes, sure. We provide some satellite images for North Korea territory.
Okay. So the imaging is there right now, but as time goes on, more detailed images of major cities around the world will be available. Now, what are some of the strengths that The World has above other 3D maps?
Yeah, the 3D resolution is much better. The The World's 3D resolution is greater than 25 centimeters, and it provides information on all buildings in the same form as existing buildings. But Google Earth only provides a simplified view of selected buildings, and each resolution is about 50 centimeters to 1 meter.
So I can see you're very proud of your
and one more
project.
thing is in some existing maps, there have been mistakes, such as labeling the East Sea, the Sea of Japan. With The World, it uses the country standard English search system, which provide users the correct names of territory in Korea.
And briefly, Min-jung mentioned it, but when we say Korea, we usually think of South Korea, but then you also have plans on providing images from North Korea. So what kind of services would those entail?
The best information on North Korea is providing through the COMSAT-2 satellite. But we will enforce that kind of image resolution. By the end of this year, we will. Now, it is providing the images for Pyongyang, Kaesong, and Gyeongang Mountain at 50 centimeter resolution. And by the end of this year, we will provide 23 main cities in the north.
Oh, wow.
We provide it at a same resolution, 50 centimeters.
So how else can the map be used other than for people to look up some specific locations, not to exclude North Korea as well as a sneak preview?
Satisfy curiosity.
Right.
We collected lots of the government data like the digital map, land registration map.
I would also imagine that construction companies that want to get a view of the landscape and an overhead, more detailed view of what's out there would get a better idea through this program, the V-World, right?
Yes, sure. Actually, there's the 3D game companies or some film companies contact us for use this kind of 3D data. And also the location-based service or application. This is another field can use this kind of data.
Okay, it's still in its early stages, and you said that you'll expand the number of countries. So I look forward to looking up Bangladesh, actually my old neighborhood in Bangladesh, and find that. So thank you so much for your efforts, and also best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have personally looked through the V-World website and looked at the map, and it is very detailed. It's amazing how it can get that detailed, right?
All right, time now to go back to our Dami, who is joining us from the Mokdong Baseball Stadium in Yangcheongu, Seoul.
All right, we'll go over to her right now. Dami, over to you.
I'm back reporting live from Mokdong Baseball Stadium. Now today is the start of the 2013 KBO postseason. Many fans have been awaiting and anticipating the fall festivities to finally begin. Now this season has been an unprecedented fierce battle between the top 4 teams, and these teams will be competing against each other at a half-game difference. Now tonight at 6 p.m. is where the first round of playoffs will begin between the 3rd place Nexen Heroes and the 4th place Tusan Bears. The winner of with the best 3 of 5 games will go on to face against the LG Twins. This is the first time where 3 teams are all connected to Seoul and have made it to the postseason, thus making the competition even more fierce for making reservations. As a matter of fact, the KBO has suspended on-site ticket sales and is only accepting purchases through reservations. So you can make reservations through Gmarket Ticket Link or through a phone call, and one person can reserve up to 4 tickets. Now, according to the weather forecast, Typhoon Danas is headed towards Korea. So if the game is canceled later tonight, then that means all of the baseball games in this season is going to be pushed back a day. All right, well, I can't wait for the game tonight. I can already feel the stadium heating up. This is your look at Mokdong Baseball Stadium. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
All right, thank you, Dami. Once again, action is heating up in the baseball stadiums around Korea. And it's also heating up on hiking trails as
Not
many
today,
people...
though.
Not today, right? They're staying indoors today, but there are a lot of people that are out to see the beautiful autumn changing leaves of fall, and people go hiking, but at the same time, there are some injuries, and many injuries are reported around these months. Joining us is Dr. Alice Hyun-Kyung-Dan from the Samsung Medical Center to talk about this. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. So hiking is great exercise. Whether you're walking on a level terrain or doing some active mountaineering, you're using lots of different muscle groups to give yourself a really effective aerobic workout. But if your body's deconditioned, that can set you up for injury and serious muscle cramps. So it's important also to stay well hydrated and make sure you have enough food in your system before you go on your hike, because otherwise that can set you up for exhaustion and dehydration. So you do need to be careful.
All right, well, let's take a look at a short clip to see what some of the things that we need to keep in mind while we go hiking.
With the cooler temperatures and beautiful fog colors covering mountains across the country, come large groups of hikers gathering to enjoy the fall scenery.
The air is very clean and fresh.
Because it's fall, the forests are lush, and I feel like it's good for your health.
But caution is required when going hiking. Although it may seem like a simple activity, it can lead to serious injuries if not careful. In terms of accidents that occur when hiking, fractures to the bone are one of the leading causes, followed by abrasion, muscle spasms, and dehydration. Fractures and joint injuries can easily occur if the hiker pushes on with extensive climbing without ample stretching or warm-ups.
In autumn, because the weather is cooler, the amount of blood circulating decreases, while muscle tension increases. This can lead to joint damage, contusion, or fractures.
If you have fractured your ankle, use branches or small boards as splints. Use ropes or clothing to set the splint. Joint injuries bring about not only sprained ankles and injuries to the knee cruciate ligament, but can also affect the spine, which is why much caution is needed. If sprained ankles are not treated properly, they can lead to a joint inflammation, which could later require an artificial joint replacement. This past July, 4 hikers from a group of 5 Koreans died when hiking in Japan due to dehydration and hypothermia. Because the daily temperature differences are severe in the fall, you can get hypothermia if not dressed in thick clothing. The temperature drops by 0.6 degrees Celsius every 100 meters when hiking, and the temperatures felt by the body are even lower. Hyperthermia refers to when the body temperature drops below 35 degrees. In this case, the function of the heart, brain, and lungs begin to deteriorate. A drop below the 27-degree mark can cause arrhythmia, and if it falls beyond 25 degrees, the heart can go into cardiac arrest.
If the patient is conscious, feed them hot food, and if their clothes are drenched with sweat or are wet, remove them. It's good to use warm clothes or a heater that can quickly bring their body temperature up.
When climbing, take off your clothes when you start to precipitate to cool off, but keep your clothes on when taking a break to prevent heat loss. Carry warm water in a flask to maintain your body temperature. Alcohol may temporarily raise the body temperature, but it has a diuretic effect, so it is not recommended. After hiking, if you suffer from high fevers, chills, and stomach pain, it could be symptoms of susugumushi disease. Susugumushi is an infectious disease caused by microorganisms transmitted by mites. 90% of the patients contract this disease between the months of September and November. The transmission of the disease is usually found in bite marks of roughly 1 centimeter or spots on the skin.
If the Tsutsugamushi disease progresses for more than 2 weeks, it can lead to meningitis or an ear infection, which can leave side effects such as ringing in the ear or damage to hearing.
The disease can be easily contracted if the skin is exposed to tainted grass, so it is a good idea to spray yourself with repellent before hiking up the trail. Lack of attention to the smallest details can sometimes lead to serious accidents on hiking trails. Enjoy the benefits of fall's beautiful scenery while staying safe and alert.
That's right. So when you go hiking, there are certain groups that need to stay away from strenuous activity. Who needs to take more extra precautions?
Right. So if you've had a previous heart attack or stroke, also patients who have uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled blood pressure, or very high cholesterol, people who have chronic kidney disease, these are the people who need definitely to consult with their physician before embarking in any exercise program, including hiking.
I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I rarely fall when I do go on a
That sounds like bragging to me.
I'm sorry. But what can you do to prevent fractures for people who often fall?
Right. So preventing fractures and sprains is all having to do with preventing fall injuries. And there are two key things to remember. One is make sure that your footwear is well-fitting and appropriate for the terrain and also the amount of load that's going to be in your backpack. The next thing is make sure that you stretch and warm up before the hike. A lot of people forget to do that, but stretching will help with your flexibility and warming up will help increase the blood flow to your muscles. So both very important.
If you run into a snake and if you're bitten by a snake, knock on wood,
biggest
right?
concern?
That is my biggest concern. And so what should you do, really?
Okay, so there are 4 do's and 4 don'ts. The first thing that you need to do is call 119 or whatever the emergency response number is in your country, because that bitten person needs to be transported to an emergency room where he can receive snake antivenom.
Okay.
The next thing is have the person stay calm. The affected region should be below heart level and still. Next, if you notice as a bystander that the person who's been bitten is going into shock, so they're cold, clammy, rapid shallow breathing, very fast heart rate, have the person lie down on his back and elevate the legs. Finally, remove any constricting like bracelets, watches, rings from the affected limb, because that can cause a lot of constriction. For the don'ts, remember stick, S-T-I-C. So don't attempt to suck out the venom with your mouth.
That's the first thing I would do.
Don't do that. Don't apply a tight tourniquet to the affected limb. Do not apply ice to the bite wound, and don't try to cut the wound open with a knife or a razor. Those are 4 really bad things that you can actually make the injury worse.
Okay, some useful tips there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, it was kind of unexpected. I thought that was the first thing you do,
No,
but
no,
okay,
no.
so you don't do that.
Yeah.
All right, well, sounds good. Thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Well, still ahead on Korea Today, Latin Grammy Award winning artist Reik joins us later on Korea Today, where they're working on a new joint reality program with our station, Arirang TV, together with Mexico's Televisa to promote the best music of both worlds involving Korean pop bands. M Black and Reik, they'll play us a tune, so don't go away.
Maybe they'll get the Grammy after this reality program.
They will, maybe.
Or the Academy Award.
And it's time to play ball as we kick things off with the 2013 KBO postseason set to begin later tonight. Well, that is if the weather can hold up. But either way, a crucial Game 1 of the best-of-5 series as the Doosan Bears and the Nexen Heroes are set to square off at Mokdong Stadium for Game 1. And taking them out are the 2 American aces, Dustin Nippert for the Doosan Bears and Brandon Knight for the Nexen Heroes. Nippert finished off the season with a 12-4 record with an ERA of 3.58, while Knight finished off the season with a 12-10 record with an ERA of 4.43. But Dustin Nippert holds an 0-2 record against the Nexen Heroes this season, while Brandon Knight holds a 2-0 record against Doosan. So it's anybody's game to kick off the 2013 KBO postseason. And staying in the KBO, the candidates for the 2013 MVP and the 2013 Rookie of the Year honors were revealed yesterday, and it seems like a couple of Nexen and Doosan players are on the list as well. Now, leading the race for the 2013 KBO MVP are Bae Young-soo, the starting pitcher for the Samsung Lions, who finished off the regular season with a record of 14-4 as he led the Samsung Lions to another pennant. Also, the LG Twins captain Lee Byung-gyu in the list as he led the team to their first playoff berth in a decade, followed by Park Byung-ho, who had another monster season as he looks to win his second straight MVP honors. Meanwhile, Doosan's lefty starter Yoo Hee-kwan leads the list of Rookie of the Year candidates, as well as NC's Lee Jae-hak and Na Sung-bum. And moving on, everyone knows Park Ju-young isn't having the greatest time over in the English Premier League, and everyone knows that he hasn't been seeing any playing time with Arsenal neither. But there's a good chance he might move as Wigan Athletic expressed their interest in the striker. The second-tier championship team is seeking an emergency loan for 3 months. According to the team, they're currently in talks with Arsenal and finalizing the deal. Now, Owen Coyle, who currently manages Wigan, used to manage Lee Chung-young with the Bolton Wanderers. The deal goes through. It's a great news for Park Ju-young, who's looking to get some playing time. Now, finishing things off, last week the LPGA Tour began its Asian Tour, kicking off in China and moving over to Malaysia, Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. Now, the tour #1 ranked Park In-bi as well as Chen Ah-yeon, Park Se-ri, and Ryu So-yeon will be competing. But for Ryu So-yeon, who was named the LPGA Rookie of the Year back in 2012, she had a lot of determination ahead of the games, and we got to catch up with the golf star to learn more. After setting foot in the much-awaited LPGA in 2012, Ryu So-yeon was named Rookie of the Year. Ryu currently ranks #4 in the world, and this is how the star started off her golf career.
I started golf at the elementary school PE time. Then I started golf when I was 8 years old. And actually, that time my dream was a violinist. So it's really hard to choose playing golf. But I so much love to play golf that I picked the golf. Always my dream is Hall of Famer. Then last year my dream was the Rookie of the Year. Then I made it. So I'm really happy to make a Rookie of the Year. Then last year was pre-success year.
Ryu managed to finish within the top 10 in 15 events in her debut year, landing her the Rookie of the Year honor. But to her, the Jamie Farr Toledo Classic victory, the first season win in 2012, was the most memorable.
Because I won the tournament. Because after I won the US Women's Open, a lot of people said, oh, she might be, can just start, just won that US Open, then just gone. But I don't want to listen like that. But after I won the Jamie Farr Classic, everybody, oh, she deserved to win the US Women's Open.
She once dreamt of becoming a violinist, but now she stands at #4 in the world in golf. It's been a long journey for her, so what does the sport mean to her?
Golf is teacher because it's really simulates life. We have to wait, we have to how can I say, be polite to fellow competitor. Then we have to always playing with the caddy, and we have to hanging out with the fans and all of the things. So it's pretty much teacher for me. I learn everything when I play golf.
Ryu So-yeon successfully kicked off her LPGA career and is at the top of her game. And she says she would like to follow the footsteps of other leading Korean golf stars.
Now In-bi Park is #1 player in the world. Also, Se-ri Park is Hall of Famer, but they looks like really enjoy to play golf. You know, it's really hard to enjoy our job, but they still really enjoyed it. So that's why they play so well. So these days I just pretty much enjoy the playing. Trying to enjoy the golf, but actually I don't have to try. Just automatically have to enjoy the golf. Always thanks for support me. Always thanks for all about the Korean player and LPGA. So we already know everything. You guys really support us. So we always gonna try to practice hard, and we want to try to show the really great golf. So keep support us, and thank you very much.
Well, best of luck to her, and that is going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
El pasado es un mal sueño que acabó, o un incendio que en tus brazos se apagó. Cuando estaba a medio paso de caer, mis silencios se encontraron con tu voz. Te seguí y reescribiste mi futuro. Es aquí.
Arirang TV and Mexico's Televisa has embarked on a reality program to promote cultural exchange between the two countries, and that involves Korean pop group M-Black, but we're excited to have Mexican group Reik in the studio.
That's right. Good morning. We have
Good
three
morning.
very special guests. We'll start with you, BB Marin on the guitar, Julio Ramirez also on the guitar, and Jesus Navarro, the lead vocalist. I'm in love
Correct.
with your voice, by
Thank
the way.
you.
Thank you for
That's
joining
very
us.
sweet. Thank you
She's
so
been
much.
YouTubing you guys all night.
Well, we're in love with your country.
Oh, well, thank you, and
Yeah.
welcome to Korea Today. We'll give you a moment to say hello to our viewers first.
Okay, well, what camera? Hold on, real quick. Hi,
Real
everybody.
quick.
Thank you for
There we
having
go.
us. We're really happy to be here.
All right, well, you're here to promote your music, but you're also here with a mission to promote the Korean wave back in Central and South America, right? And tell us more about this two-way project that you're working on.
Well, the networks came up with it. They sort of picked us to come on this trip and sort of show the guys from M Black around back home in Mexico City. We were able to show them a bit of our culture, a bit of the city also, because I mean, we're young people and it's important to show them the roots and all the cultural aspects, but also what's fun, in cool bars and restaurants. And we've been doing that here, and it's been great. We've never been to Asia before, let alone Korea, and it's just been such an amazing experience. Everybody's been so nice to us, and the city is just awesome. We're having the best time, and we're really happy to be able to represent Mexican music here, because we hear it all the time how we have a lot of similarities culturally between Korea and Mexico, and I feel that the K-pop movement is huge in Mexico, and so we're trying to bring a bit of our stuff to here.
Right, so the Mexican movement right here in Korea. So this is your fourth day here in Korea. You're here for about a week or so. What are some of the activities that you've partaken in so far?
We've basically been around. We've had a lot of good food. We love the meat.
Traditional food.
Yeah.
We went to a Korean folk village, which was amazing.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Great
really cool.
experience.
And we want to go to museums, we just want to be moving around and meeting people. We've been, what was the street we were in?
I don't know.
Oh, something, well, the translation is something about trees where you have a lot of...
Garosu길.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Garosu길. That's the
Gangnam, right?
Yeah, that's the very hip area,
Yes.
and there's a lot of fashionable people there and great food, restaurants, and
We
cafes.
did a little shopping. We went to the Korean folk village. What else did we do?
We went to sing to some students in a language school. I don't know what
In
it's called.
Hankook University.
That's right. I understand you also had a lot of fans that came to watch you perform.
Surprisingly for us, there was a lot of people that actually knew who we were, so that was a bit of a shock for us.
They're students that were studying Spanish, so they asked us for some of our songs, and they sang the songs, and they even got to sing one of our songs. All the students. It's called Noviembre Sin Ti, and they all sang the song. So it was really pretty for us,
After listening to some of your songs, I want to learn Spanish as well. Like, what do you think it's about your music that strikes a common chord with the Korean audience here?
What could that be?
I think, well...
It's your voice, first of all. But...
Totally.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I think that we talk about human emotions, and music is just so... It really does transcend language, I think. You can feel an emotion when you're listening to music, even if you don't understand the words exactly. And then if you are able to sort of investigate what they are and what they mean, it gives it such a even more special meaning. I'm just really happy that we have the opportunity to share our music here, because we hear that there's a big space for our concept here, because we do a lot of acoustic sounds and ballads and just love songs.
And you've been working with the K-pop group M Black since August. How is it working with another band?
They're really nice, no? But the thing is, there is the language barrier, because we don't speak Korean and they don't speak Spanish or English.
The music, I guess you talk with music.
And hands.
Totally.
And hands, so that comes in handy, I
body
suppose.
language.
We had a great time back in Mexico. We traveled around. We did this like cultural stuff too, but we did like hip stuff like we did here.
So you showed them around. Did they show you around?
Yeah, we did. We had like the typical drinks, typical food. They liked it. We're looking forward. I think we're meeting them Thursday.
Like a Thursday?
Yeah, we're meeting them
Thursday.
So that's gonna be cool.
And
we're gonna play actually on Thursday on the Mukon Festival. So we're gonna be playing live there if any of you are watching and are planning to go there. We're going to be live. There's going to be MBlack live also, and a lot of different bands from all over the world, I understand. So that's going to be a great experience for us, playing live in Korea.
Oh, sounds good. It seems like you guys are enjoying your time here. So now you guys have been here for the first time in Korea. How about any activities that you are planning on? Maybe a concert or other performances that you might be thinking of, a tour of Korea maybe?
That'd be amazing.
That would
Well,
be
let's see what
lovely,
happens.
huh?
I don't know. We're just putting our foot in the water, and hopefully it'll turn into something bigger. We would absolutely love to come here again and sort of get more of a feel for the audience, because we haven't really been able to have a feel for people, no, except for the people that we've met. But it's such a different experience when you're on stage and you're sort of it's a different kind of connection. But we would absolutely love to come here and show you guys what we do.
Well, I'm sure fans in Korea would love to have you here.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And
Thank
I
you.
know
Really
you have a
appreciate it.
special performance prepared for us,
We
right?
do, we
I'm
do.
really
We
excited.
do.
I know all the ladies in this room will melt over your music and especially your voice. Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure our viewers are going to be melted and blown away by this performance as well. And with that, we will say goodbye and we can enjoy Reik's performance.
That's right.
As we say goodbye.
Right. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Okay,
Take it away, guys.
All right. Okay.
Might have spent my whole life waiting in the dark, or left this place with a hole inside my heart. But just when I decided this might be my fate, you came running not 1 second too late. Tell me how, give me hope with just one kiss and kill my doubts. With a love I can't forget, oh finally I breathe again. There are no words to describe it, there's no way that I can hide it, oh no, finally the fear is gone, and I don't have to face this world alone. Even though I lost my way, with you I'm finally home. There were times the pain was more than I could take, but somehow each and every scar has been erased.